Hey everyone, I'm Alan Thrall, and in this video I want to talk to you about some recent shoulder pain that I've had and how I overcame that, how I got past that. So earlier this year when I was training for California's Strongest Man, I had some shoulder pain that was really freaking bugging me. So at first it was just in training, my shoulder would kind of ache and hurt, and then it started to bleed into the next day it would hurt and it'd be sore, and then it wasn't just in the gym, it was in my everyday life. I would feel my shoulder and it would bug me. And then I think the final straw was waking up at night a couple times, trying to toss and turn, trying to get comfortable because my shoulder was bugging me, which again is where I draw the line. I get it if I, oh, when I try to jerk 315 overhead, my shoulder hurts. Like boohoo, lighten the weight, work around it. But when it's hurting me outside of the gym and it's hurting me when I'm trying to completely shut off and rest and sleep and it's still bothering me, it's not worth it to me. So I had to make some adjustments. Thankfully, I was able to just make a little bit of an adjustment leading into California's Strongest Man, and on the day of California's Strongest Man, I competed with no shoulder pain. I think the adrenaline dump of the competition masks a lot of that. The next day, it was sore. The next week, it was sore. And I thought, how much time am I gonna take off before this thing gets better? And it just wasn't getting a whole lot better. And so after California's Strongest Man, I was just having some, normal passing conversation with some of the members, talking about my shoulder pain, talking about training, and every one of them were quick to give a solution or a remedy. Oh, have you tried doing these exercises for your rotator cuff? Have you tried doing this shoulder stretch? Have you tried a Theragun? Have you tried floss bands? And they were trying to be helpful, but I'm just thinking, no, I haven't tried it, and no, I'm not. No one mentioned the elephant in the room. No one mentioned the smoking gun. Hey, Alan, have you tried not trying to put 300 pounds over your head twice a week? And that was the obvious answer. It's just like someone who's like, dude, my lower back has been killing me whenever I do deadlifts. What's wrong with my technique? And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with your technique. You're just trying to like redline your deadlifts all the time. So anyway, so I've realized that I need to just not put so much weight overhead so often. And so that's what I did. I took a break from putting a lot of heavy weight overhead. So the first adjustment in training was, okay, I'll just do overhead, but I'll do it light. And that really didn't feel good. It was kind of uncomfortable. You're on the verge of like, well, it kind of hurts with everything, so I don't know what weight to use. And I just got tired of dealing with that. And it got to the point where that overhead movement, that overhead position, for me was very sensitive. I would go into sessions anticipating and expecting the pain, and then kind of it was just always there regardless of what weight I did. So I didn't feel like I could get a good training stimulus on my upper body. Even benching didn't feel great. With my shoulders pinned against the bench, kind of felt like they couldn't move around. I just didn't like the moves. I tried close grip, wide grip, touch lower, touch higher. Machine bench kind of felt a little bit better, but still not great. Enter calisthenics. I follow some calisthenics guys on Instagram and YouTube. Daniel from Fitness FAQ.
There we go.
Raphael, Peter, I believe, Peter from Smash Training. And so I follow these guys, and that inspired me. Like, let's try to just do calisthenics for a little while, just upper body. I'll just do calisthenics. And so I actually purchased Daniel's handstand push-up program just to get an idea of how to put something together, to get some inspiration for exercises, for sets and reps and all that kind of stuff. And so that's what I started doing. Handstand push-up eccentrics against the wall. I started doing push-ups. I tried doing dips. Dips bothered my shoulder, so I said I'm not going to push that. There's plenty of other exercises to pull from. I would do these planche push-ups. I believe they're called baby 90s, which is kind of like a downward dog into this push-up sort of thing. And while I was doing this, I noticed quite a few things, a handful of things. The first one was my shoulder would feel better afterwards. It was like when I was doing these eccentrics against the wall, I could kind of self-organize and move my shoulders around to what felt comfortable, but I felt like there was a training stimulus in my shoulders by doing these eccentrics. Whenever I would do push-ups, I would really round my upper back to the top, and I felt like that could move my shoulder blades freely around my rib cage. And so these movements just allowed this freedom of motion, I guess. I don't know what term to use, but one thing that I really liked about this was I could push freaking hard. I could push to failure, maximum effort. I could I could push up until I literally was flattened, pinned down on the ground and couldn't do another push-up. And it didn't bother my shoulder at all. And so I could train to failure. I could get a good training stimulus and feel good about it and not bother my shoulder. Sorry, I'm a bit distracted here. And not bother my shoulder at all. I also felt like not only was it a good training stimulus, but it was therapeutic in a way. I can't really explain it. I don't know what to say. I don't have words for it.
I just said Debbie to the camera.
Nice. But I could push really hard. And my shoulder would feel better afterwards, a little bit better afterwards. There was still some discomfort during the day, but it was getting better as I was doing this. And so what I would normally have done, years ago was just do some overhead press really light. Not only is that boring, but I can't push myself. You're kind of in like this little training slump because you're like, oh, I can't push hard. These workouts aren't really stimulating. And I don't know if it's getting any better. I'm just kind of doing lightweight, hoping that it gets better on its own, which usually is what you want to do, is back off the weights, let it heal on its own, and then kind of ramp back up. But this is the first time that I've ever said, all right, forget it, not doing the barbell stuff. For about a month, I'm just going to do calisthenics for upper body. Okay, I've abandoned my camera. I'm working on my iPhone here. So the point I was trying to make is calisthenics, at least for upper body, might be a great alternative to training. If you're nursing an injury, you're working around an injury or some pain, you can push really, really hard with calisthenics and maybe not bother your injury. All pain is a little bit different. But for me, it was really helpful in still training hard and not bothering my shoulder. In fact, probably helping heal my shoulder. The next thing I noticed about calisthenics was it is extremely difficult. It is, in a sense, this full body movement to do these planche push-ups and have to be up on my toes, keeping my weight forward, flexing my quads, flexing my core, my lats, my shoulders, my chest, my triceps. My entire body was flexed throughout this, sometimes it's a minute-long set. And even despite being extremely difficult in the moment and taxing in the moment, to where I just would flop down on the ground in total exhaustion, once I was done with the session, I bounced right back and I would have quite a bit of energy throughout the day. And the next day, my muscle would be sore, but my shoulders aren't sore. My front delts or my chest would be sore, my triceps would be sore, but my elbows weren't sore, my shoulders weren't sore, the actual joint. And so I could do this with pretty high frequency. I could push push-ups and variations of push-ups and handstand push-ups pretty often, 3, 4, sometimes 5 days a week. I could push some sort of variation. Whereas if I was doing like a 5x5, really high RPE squat and deadlift, and or I'd keep it upper body, overhead press and bench press, sometimes it would wipe me out and I'd be pretty fried for the rest of the day. And the next day, I can't do it again, that's for sure. So I think that calisthenics for upper body could be a great way to add a lot of volume into your routine. If you're the type of person who wants to work out 5, 6, 7 days a week, add in some calisthenics. Or if you're a beginner and you're doing like 3x5 bench press, add in some push-ups. Add in some push-ups throughout the day, throughout the week, and try to just push that volume. I really think that could help transfer over to your barbell movements. So this video is really just to give you an update on what I've been doing. Maybe this is helpful for you, but I will say that I have returned to doing bench press and dips and some overhead press. Last week I did some push press, felt really good, and honestly I don't think I lost much strength. And then yesterday I did incline bench press and I went pretty hard on the dips and my shoulder feels perfect, feels fine, there's no issues at all. So yeah, part of it was my body just healing itself, giving it a break from pushing max weights overhead and doing the jerk and strongman overhead. I've maintained quite a bit despite not lifting super heavy. And one other thing that I'll mention, I'm kind of all over the place. This whole camera thing kind of threw me off. But one other thing was, once I got back to training after California's Strongest Man, I just did some push-ups because I was like, I can't do overhead. It's bothering my shoulder. I'll do some push-ups. My push-ups were so pathetically bad, so weak. As I was doing push-ups, I'm like, I had this push-up workout in my head and I couldn't even finish it. I got like maybe 60% of it done before I couldn't even do push-ups. And I'm like, damn, if this little amount of push-ups is this hard for me, And these push-ups are all that it takes to make some progress. Why not just keep doing it? Why not just keep doing these push-ups? Why do I have to get some complex upper body program? Why do I have to lift really heavy? Why do I have to get back to what I was doing, you know, for California Strongest Man prep? If this is all that it takes, run with it. I should also talk about this vest that I'm wearing. Kinsui, is that how you say it? And so I'll talk a little bit about it.
Who are you talking to?
My camera. I'm making a video. So this is the vest itself. Really, really comfortable. Great material here. So even when I do this with no shirt, there's no like seams or fabric cutting into my skin. And it's sleek and compact enough that when I take like a narrow grip for pull-ups, it's not digging into my shoulders or cutting into my shoulders like a backpack would. And so they have a few attachments here. They've got longer posts. They've got longer posts for adding more weight. Maybe if you're gonna do like some rucking and you want it, or you're just really freaking strong and you added a whole bunch of plates. And then they've got the shorter ones for, so if you want to do push-ups, it's not in the way. So all this does is slides under here. Put a weight on. Slide it on. There you go. These are the clips. It's adjustable. Really nice vest.